France destabilizing Algeria.
The relationship between France and Algeria has been fraught with tension for decades, rooted in Algeria's colonial past and its struggle for independence. Now, lest we forget, France killed at least 5.6 million Algerians during its 132 years of colonial rule over this North African country. Recent years have seen a resurgence of these tensions, exacerbated by reports that French spy agencies are engaged in acts of espionage and interference inside Algeria. Additionally, Algeria has accused France of destabilizing its political landscape by recruiting former terrorists and organizing meetings with groups hostile to the country's government. Now, these serious allegations have led to diplomatic confrontations, including the summoning of the French ambassador by Algerian authorities. The situation has been further complicated by disagreements over regional policies, such as France's support for Morocco's bid to forcefully control the Western Sahara region, which Algeria opposes. The ongoing espionage claims and political disputes have raised concerns about the future of Franco-Algerian relations. Now, how will these renewed tensions impact the broader geopolitical landscape in North Africa and Europe?
The legacy of French colonial rule in Algeria has significantly affected their relationship. Recent events show that tensions between Algeria and Paris have worsened since last summer, leading to increasing uncertainty.
Algerian President Tebboune has been openly critical of France and even called the French language war booty, referring to the long and brutal war of independence.
مثل ما يقال عندنا الفرنسية غنيمة حرب ولكن اللغة الدولية هي الإنجليزية.
President Tebboune has on several occasions criticized France for its colonial legacy in this North African country. Now, how important is it for France to acknowledge its colonial crimes, and what impact will such recognition have on the relationship between these two countries?
The colonial rule of by France in Algeria during 130 years is characterized by massacres, by mass murders, by crime against humanity, by atrocities against Algerian people. And I think it's hard for them and for France to accept their own past and their own history, and to look face to face with their past and with their colonial history, and recognize that they have some political personalities in France today refuse to acknowledge they didn't recognize what they have done by themselves. They are now looking at the war criminals as national heroes. How can people manage a relation with someone who take this position?
France, as the former colonial power in both Morocco and Algeria, has historically walked a diplomatic tightrope between the two countries. Recently, France shifted its stance and backed Morocco's autonomy plan for Western Sahara, recognizing Moroccan sovereignty over the region. This has negatively impacted diplomatic relations between France and Algeria.
The way to resolve this conflict is the way that Morocco proposed, that makes France itself also out of the international community, because everyone knows that the question of the Western Sahara was on at the UN as a question of the territorial, not the only not independent territory in Africa, and all the international community recognized the right for the Sahrawi people to determine their future by themselves. They have to choose, and the UN has an envoy. There was a ceasefire that lasted from 1990 to I think 2018 or 2020, when Morocco has failed its commitment to go through this process of made the territory independent again. And now France, late this last month or some months ago, said that it considered that what the colonial power proposed for a colonized people is the good thing. We can see that France has not changed from its position as a colonial power, and it behaved also as a colonial power till now. And that's not acceptable.
President Tebboune says Algeria demands that France acknowledge its crimes committed during the colonial period from 1830 to 1962, emphasizing that the country seeks no material compensation. Now, why does Algeria demand that France acknowledge its colonial crimes without seeking material compensation, unlike the demands of other African countries?
Okay, I think this also has a relation to the past, the tumultuous past between Algeria and France. France, in some way, always look at Algeria as its chasse gardée, as they say, at its backyard. And along the years, they behave and they take the position that makes Algeria their own, even if it was independent from them. They failed French establishment, I didn't say French government. French people has another, some of the French people have another idea. Some French people was voting, that also to be noted. Some French people have fought on side the Algerian people against their government during the War of Independence. And some of the French people are now criticizing the position of France toward Algeria or toward another territory, toward other people. Some French people are now taken to the streets, for example, for Gaza, supporting the Palestinians against the position of the government, of their government.
Algeria says that the French spy agency DGSE is attempting to undermine Algeria's stability. It appears France is adamant on igniting chaos in Algeria.
The response to it is just in what has President Tebboune said just after this sentence. He said that we didn't need material compensation, and we need France to acknowledge their crime, because first of all, there's no such amount that can be quantified or for what Algerian suffers and what France's crimes are about. Some Algerians are seeking material compensation. Yes, we can't. But the position of the President Tebboune, I think, he explained that France has to acknowledge its colonial crime against Algerians, that we can't need compensation because our martyrs, our fellow citizens, our people who suffered a lot from France during that long period has no way to compensate them.
As Algeria distances itself from France, experts predict a prolonged confrontation that could significantly alter their bilateral relations. France's reliance on Algerian natural gas is at risk, which might lead to broader energy negotiation challenges for Europe as well.
Now, what are the potential consequences for Europe's energy negotiations if Algeria continues to distance itself from France given France's reliance on Algerian natural gas imports?
Algeria, in its way to be a partner for the European community, or all the European countries or the European community, has diversified its channels to supply them for natural gas. And I think it's not, it can't be, even if the political relations have been in their worst level, energy sector is immune from this. And that's a position that Algeria adopts. And Algeria said that always we can't punish people from having energy materials, energy in this, especially in the winters where the demand is at its highest level. But according to the position of their governments, peoples and energy firms are respected partners, and we respect our commitment and our engagement in this work.
Well, there you have it. Algeria respects its commitments, but will continue to demand that France acknowledges the crimes and genocide it committed during its colonial rule over this North African country. I'd like to thank our guest today for his incisive analysis. And that brings us to the end of this week's edition of Africa Today. It's always great having you watch the show. And you can watch this episode and all our previous shows on our website, presstv.ir. On behalf of the entire crew, it's me, Mubarak Kenya, saying goodbye for now.